Annindita Palaus, and today's video is about one of the biggest lies of the spirituality and self-help industries. And I'm going to keep this video very short and to the point. This is not going to be too long. But one of the biggest lies, in my opinion, of the spirituality and self-help industry is this, that once you become spiritual or once you start your spiritual journey, then your life will forever be easy and beautiful and everything will be positive and you will only be happy. There will be no other experience in your life. There will be no ounce of negativity left. If there is any negativity left, then that is because you're not spiritual enough yet. But the more spiritual you get, there will be nothing going wrong in your life. Everything will be just perfect. That is the biggest myth. And I know that a lot of courses and programs and workshops, seminars, a lot of these things are being sold in the name of teaching people how to create this perfect paradise, so to speak, so that your life becomes a living paradise and there is no more hell, so to speak, kind of like religion. But that is a huge lie. And some of this is not being done deliberately, but sometimes when teachers say certain things, they are misunderstood by people just because that's what they want to hear. But sometimes it is also a selling and marketing gimmick. It will sell more if you tell people that your life is going to be heaven on earth. If you take this workshop or you take this course, everything will fall into place and everything will be perfect. Then the program will sell more, of course. Then if you tell them that not everything is going to change and not everything will happen the way you want it to happen, but you will be at a better position to deal with everything that life throws at you. Now that doesn't sound as exciting, does it? People don't want to buy programs that makes them stronger or makes them more resilient. They want to buy programs that makes it seem like they can have heaven on earth. They can have every single thing that they want. And while in this video, I don't mean to say anything contrary to the law of attraction or to the fact that yes, you can be, do, and have everything that you want. But at the same time, I do want to get rid of this delusion that sometimes people live under, that if they start meditating on a daily basis, they learn Reiki and spiritual practices and things like that, then they will never ever fall sick. Nothing will ever go wrong. Everything will be perfect. They will never ever have to experience contrast. What I mean by contrast is when we come into this physical reality, this three-dimensional physical reality, one of the essential elements of this reality is contrast. It is the black and white. It is the left and right. We always have a choice. So in this reality, this contrast will always be there. There'll be always negative and positive. The polarity, the whole idea of polarity, the law of polarity, it is built into this three-dimensional physical reality. Man and woman, left and right, yin and yang, darkness and light. This polarity will always exist in this dimension on earth. No amount of spiritual practices is going to get rid of polarity or duality that is inbuilt. But what happens with spiritual practices or the practices that actually helps to empower you spiritually is this, that your perception towards light and dark changes. Your perception towards this negative and positive changes. And when your perception changes, then your whole story changes. Then your whole reality changes. You don't feel things the same way you feel when you have a different perception. So the same situation in life, you will have a whole new understanding. You will give it a whole different meaning. And now, once you start giving it a different meaning, the situation might very well change for you. But what changed first is not the situation. It can never happen that way because that is backwards. That is not how the universe works at all. A change always begins with you. It is not what is happening in the circumstances around you that matters. It is your state of being that matters. Whatever state of being that you are in, when that changes, then the reflection of that also has to change. That is the law. It is the law of resonance. Whatever it is that you are resonating with is what you will see in the reflection. When you change, For instance, right now I'm wearing this blue and white dress. When I stand in front of the mirror, I'm going to see my reflection wearing this blue dress. When I change, let's say I wear a purple dress and I stand in front of the mirror, then I will see myself in a purple dress. I will not be seeing myself in a purple dress if I am wearing a blue dress and standing in front of a mirror. The world is exactly like that. It is a mirror. When you change, the reflection changes. So, if you are getting into spiritual practices, and now with full honesty, of course, when I first started getting into spiritual practices like meditation, Reiki, of course, a big part of it was because it's going to make me healthier, it's going to make me happier, and it's going to help me in becoming more empowered from within. And of course, there were a lot of things I wanted to manifest in my life. And it was because I had those intentions, those desires, those goals, that I got into all these spiritual practices. And for sure, the spiritual practices helped me in manifesting a lot of my goals. I wouldn't say it helped me manifesting 100% of my goals, because a lot of my goals also changed over a period of time. And some of the goals which haven't manifested yet, I actually have no regret that they haven't manifested. Some of them I have changed so much over the years that I don't even care about those goals anymore. And the ones that I do care about, I'm totally fine. If they manifest, that's great. If they don't manifest, that's totally fine too. I'm pretty happy where I am. But irrespective of that, when I first got into spiritual practices, of course, there were areas of my life that I wanted to change and improve. And there is no harm in getting into spiritual practices because you want to change your life, because you want to improve your life, you want to feel more empowered. Of course, you should do that. I'm not saying that you should not get into spiritual practices for changing your life. For sure, if you don't take the initiative to change your life, then who will? So there is no harm in that. But what I'm saying is that if you are getting into spiritual practices and thinking that the more spiritual you become, the less negative experiences you will have. You will only have positive experiences. That is not really how it works. Yes, but you might experience negativity less because now your perception about negative and positive has changed. Maybe you have started feeling so much gratitude for every single thing in your life that even when a problem arises, you are actually able to be grateful for that problem, for the teachings, for the experiences that that particular problem brought to you, for the way that particular problem challenged you to grow, instead of complaining about that problem as you would have done in the past. So you might say that yes, the more you get into spiritual practices, everything will be more positive from that perspective, that your perception of positive and negative is going to change. Not because the circumstances and the situations outside are going to change. Those will change only when you make the internal change. So I hope that you're not falling prey to that biggest lie that a lot of programs and courses and teachers are sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly. Of course, language has its own barriers. Every language has its own barriers, and there's always a chance of misinterpretation. But just a word of caution there, that when you get into spiritual practices, don't start judging yourself thinking that, oh, I have this health challenge, I must not be there yet spiritually. Or that person is having this health issue, or this financial issue, or this relationship issue, they must not be spiritual enough, they must not be good enough. And then judging yourself also, that I'm having this issue in my life, I guess I'm not spiritual enough yet. It's not about you constantly comparing yourself or judging others, thinking how spiritual they are or not on a certain scale of spirituality, and putting yourself or others down, thinking that they are not spiritual enough, that's why they are having hardships in life. It's not about that. The conditions in life, it doesn't matter how they are, but when you are empowered spiritually, it is your perception towards those very same conditions that changes. In fact, this reminds me of Tony Robbins' life story. If you have ever read about his background, that Tony Robbins came from a very poor family and he had a very hard life and an abusive mother. Now, anybody else in his situation might have ended up in jail or a drug addict. There are many, many people who have been in those exact same situations and they didn't end up as Tony Robbins. Was it just destiny? Well, I believe it's not just destiny, but it was just the way he perceived those experiences in his life, the story, the meaning that he gave to those experiences. So, when you grow spiritually, when you evolve spiritually, the idea of any spiritual activity at the end of the day should be to help you grow spiritually, where the meanings that you assign to the same circumstances in life are different than the meanings that you would have assigned in the past. If you don't change your inner meanings, if you don't change your perception, then nothing changes internally and then nothing changes externally either. Of course, using spiritual tools to manifest your dream house, your dream vacation, your dream partner, your life partner, the job that you want, the life that you want. There's no harm in any of that. But after some amount of time, if the only reason you are sticking to your spiritual practices is so that you can have all the things that your ego desires, to be the best in your field, to have the best home in the neighborhood, the best cars, the best vacation, the best everything. If all of your spiritual practices are only revolving towards you and your needs and fulfilling them and just achieving one thing after the other, then it might be time to reevaluate the real reason you want something. Because as long as your spiritual practices are only revolving towards your needs, there will always be a ceiling on your happiness. We are all capable of experiencing unlimited amount of joy and happiness, but as long as your spiritual practices are only being used for material possessions, and there is nothing wrong with material possessions, by the way. In fact, the line between material and spiritual does not even exist. But if it exists in your mind, then it exists for you in your life too. And so, if all your spiritual practices are only towards material improvement, then there will always be a ceiling to the amount of joy that you experience in your life. So don't allow yourself to be limited in that way when you know that you are capable of experiencing so much more joy and happiness. So allow yourself to dive deeper with your spiritual practices, to go beyond just all the things that you want to manifest in your life, and surrender to a higher knowledge, to a higher wisdom, or to this higher energy or this higher power, whatever it is that you want to call it. And just allow your life to be guided by that energy. So I hope you liked today's video. If you liked it, if it makes sense, then like it, share it with your friends and family, and remember to subscribe to my channel. Also, a quick reminder, if you have been wanting to dive deeper into practices such as Reiki, meditation, law of attraction, then remember to check out the link in the description below. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.